Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Salim Bidman, and today I will present about the vehicle production system project with my fellow friend, which is Lim Wei Chen, Lim Kuan Sheng, and Yu Zhen Yi. Okay, the introduction for this project is in the 1960s, European firms began producing completely broken down automobiles after Malaysia won independence in 1957. The Malaysian government began industrial development for heavy sector, notably the automobile industry, in the 1980s. European and Malaysian Chinese ethnic Malaysian enterprise dominated the manufacturing sector in Malaysia. By the new economic policy (NEP), which began in 1971, the government aimed to expand the entry of Bumiputra business into the industrial sector. Next, Proton was founded as a partnership with Japanese business in 1983 due to the challenge of integrating automobiles production with a local company alone. Highcom contributes 70% of the total capital of 150 million, while Mitsubishi Corporation and Mitsubishi Motor contribute the remaining 30%. Perusahaan automobil kedua Sdn Bhd, or you call it as Perodua, was founded in 1993 in response to the IMP, which recommended a new national automobile project. Perodua was a collaborative effort between Daihatsu and the second national automobile manufacturer. Perodua began selling a tiny vehicle based on the Daihatsu Miura model in 1994. Okay, the objective of this project is to study how automotive vehicles are systematically mass-produced, and the second objective is to study the relation of principle of lean manufacturing in automotive industry. Next, we will move to the problem statement. The importance of automobile industry or automotive industry to take part in the lean implementation is to implement new management system which is lean manufacturing to improve their performance. Has been published by past researcher and practitioner, lean manufacturing has been implemented successfully in many large organizations, but there is still less documented evidence of its implementation and how they implement it in their company. The increasing demands from customers that seek for high quality product and also highly capable business process by the large organization has left no choice but to implement lean manufacturing to cut on waste and non-added value and to improve their quality and production time.
So a very good day. My name is Lim Wei Chen. So today I'm going to present the literature review chapter. So in the first part of the literature review chapter, I will introduce what is lean manufacturing. So the lean manufacturing, the term of the lean basically refers is a systematic methods that have been designed to minimize the waste in the manufacturing systems while the productivity remains constant. So in the lean principles, is actually implies the message that the waste is anything that doesn't added value that the customer are willing to pay for. So through the manufacturing, lean manufacturing, eventually we can get the benefits where we're able to reduce the operating cost, reduce the time, and improve the product quality. So as an acknowledgement, there are several types of lean manufacturing techniques. So the lean manufacturing that I'm going to emphasize in this presentation is Kanban, 5S techniques, Pokake, SMED, TPM, and VTM. So what is the Kanban? So the Kanban system actually is the equipments or the items that frequently used in the lean manufacturing system to ensure the inventory to always kept to a minimum. So by using the Kanban system or the methods, eventually it will alter the benefit to the management, production, and the business to a company. So what is the 5S technique? So the 5S actually are the sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and the sustain. So the main objective of these 5S techniques actually is to uh, improve the workplace so that the workplace have safety structures and it can enhance the productivity. So what is the Pokayoke? So the Pokayoke is a process in a such ways that the mistakes are easily to be detachable or rectified, or the mistakes are impossible to be present in the lean manufacturing. And what is the SMED? So the single minute exchange of die basically is a theory, and it is a set of the procedures that allows the equipment setup and the changeover operation to be completed under 10 minutes. So what is the TPM? So the TPM is a total productive maintenance, is a holistic approach to the equipment maintenance to strive to achieve a perfect production with no breakdowns, no slow running or slow running process, and no defect. And the last one is the VPM. So VPM actually entails the mappings, the process that presents, analyze the waste problems, then develops a future state maps by removing the waste found. So one of the example that could be found in the automotive field, which is applies the lean manufacturing concept, is the Toyota. So the Toyota, name it as Toyota Production Systems, so the short form is TPS. So the concept of this TPS actually is to manage the production lines and make sure that the production work in a smooth way. So the lean manufacturing techniques that have been applied for this TPS is the Jitoka and just in time. The Jitoka actually is the Japanese terms which can be translated as the automation with a human touch. So it is a method to quickly identifying and correcting any issue that leads to the fault production. The second one is known as the just-in-time. So the just-in-time actually is a refining each production process so that it only produce what is required by the next process in sequence. So by applying these two type of lean manufacturing techniques, which is Jitoka and just-in-time, eventually the vehicle production can be produced in a quickly way and effective way, so that and the vehicle can achieve a high quality product and fulfills the customer requirement. And I think that's all for me. Thank you.
It's Newton Lee, and now I would like to give a presentation about the discussion. So first, let me start with the press shop. So the press shop is where the car manufacturing process begins. It is a process where the sheet metal blank into useful shape through the plastic deformation step by using a die and a mechanical press. The stamping engineering activities involves not just production engineering but also the development of necessary tools. Stamping engineering starts with the desired panel shape, which is given by the designer in a CAD file, as well as the desired panel mechanical characteristic. Next, the engineer proceeds to material selection, which include the selecting the steel grade, thickness, and heat treatment. Following that are feasibility assessment for each material chosen, which lead to a process plan. After that, finite element simulation and numerical trials are used to create the die surface, followed by actual experimental testing. Then, successful die design will be built and verified using various number of prototypes and dimensional validation techniques at the die maker facility and subsequently on the stamping line. So basically, stamping process is divided into three processes. The first process is blanking. So basically, the blanking involves a cutting action about a closed shape that is the piece retained for future forming. The blank shape is composed of any number of thread and curved line segments. There are involved a few cutting processes such as slitting, shearing, piercings, lancing, trimming, and parting. The next process in the stamping process is stamping or forming, which include the first forming operation, drawing operation, and subsequent operation. And the last process is the assembly activities. Variety of specialized cells for combining panels to form black and white components, such as joining the door inners and outers. For the stamping process, there are two main stamping presses. The first one is the mechanical press. It works by converting the energy stored in its flywheel into a reciprocating motion that pushes the press to move through a crankshaft, eccentric shaft, or eccentric gear, while the other main stamping press is hydraulic press. Hydraulic press control their force by configuring their hydraulic pressure, which then move one or more ramps in a predetermined sequence. Next is the body shop. So the automobile body shop is the step of the manufacturing process when sheet metal panels are joined together. Featuring welding and transportation between the various workstations of the assembly line are typical tasks in an automotive body shop. Next, let me proceed to the body assembly process. A main assembly line and several sub-assembly lines make up the automotive body shop. Several hundred press blanks are transferred from the in-house stamping shop and vendor facility to the body shop sub-assembly lines, where the panels and sub-assembly are joined in a planned sequence at a number of stations connected by a conveyor using resistance, spot welding, and other joining techniques. After that, the sub-assembly are fit into the main body line at the proper location.
Good morning. Today I would like to present about the physical production system in the engine shop. The engine shop have divided several of the assembly, which means the shop block assembly, piston sub, cylinder head assembly, and final assembly. The final assembly is compound all the shop block or the piston and the cylinder together and undergo to the final assembly. In the meaning of the shop block is the cylinder in all the component of the cylinder, and the piston sub, which mean the conrod, piston ring, and so on. In the cylinder head is which mean the valve stem, and the valve spring. Okay, why we will need to do assembly in mass production, which means the advantage is increase the efficiency. Beside that, it also can increase the productivity. And let's say the mass production can do a large amount of the engine. It cannot means by one man one craft. For the meaning of the one man one craft is like, for example, the Mercedes for the performance one, A series A45 is using a one man one craft concept, which means one engine for the one technician rebuild together. For the mass production, the engine is using the robotic to install it. Okay, next is the material and metal of the cylinder block. As we know, the cylinder block are using a lot of material, which means the cast iron, aluminium alloys, and the latest one is magnesium alloy. Normally, in the performance parts, usually you're using the aluminium alloy to reduce the temperature and high strength, but the advanced one for the cylinder block is magnesium alloy, which means it can provide a lot of higher strength, lower weight. The normal one is our cast iron. Cast iron means the cast iron is like 19th generation of the, for example, the Proton Bira using the cast iron block, but it will be durability. Okay, for the method of generate a cylinder block, we using a three concept, which means sand mode, last form casting, and the green mode. For the green mode, sounds like the die casting, which means it melting the method in a high temperature and pour into the sand cast and become a shape of the cylinder. For the last form casting is like pour the high temperature of the molten metal into the mold and become the shape. Okay, next is our paint shop. Okay, in our paint shop there has several of the method, which mean it have the pre-treatment process, e-coat, sealing process, anesthesia, pre-coat, base coat, clear coat, and some inspection and else. Okay, I want to explain about the flow chart of the paint shop, which means if the car is received from the welding shop, it got a lot of lubricants, a lot of dirt. So first of most, you want to decreasing and you want to clean the you want to clean the surface, clean the lubricants and the chemical coating. Okay, so we'll go to the coating process, which means the first BIW, body in white, which means the body in white is arrived from the body shop. You will undergo into the two process, which means the pre-treatment. Okay, the pre-treatment, it can help to promote the paint free initial, reduce the matter of the paint reaction. And next is improve the corrosive. Okay, in the cleaning process, it has divided to the two parts, which means the first is the deep cleaning. Deep cleaning is the BIW is lower into, which means the salt into a container which contains zinc phototis, which means a lot of chemical to reduce the parts as the cannot salts. The second one is spray cleaning, which means as you can see, this one is majority for the small component. For the deep cleaning is for example, the deep cleaning is target to the subframe, to the cross camber, which means the height component. For the spray cleaning is for the small component, which means the door panel, or carbon hoods. Okay, next. In the cleaning, we got a lot of process, which means it will undergo with the wetting process. And next one is the illumination, and the else soaping communication. The last one is the defloration paste. This is the cleaning of the process. Okay, as we know, after the pre-treatment, we will undergo into the e-coating. The advantage of the e-coating is a fast process, which means e-coating can provide consider another paint subsequent film, such as the e-coating is a premium coat with premium paints. Okay, next, e-coating has not a HAP or zeolite organic compound, which means the e-coating is a neutral of the compounds that doesn't have any harmful for the materials and for the metals. Next one is e-coating cannot build up. E-coat can build up with control in thickness of the total face, which means you can adjust the thickness of the surface. The next one is the limitation are related to the high capacity cost and need for continuous maintenance or monitoring activity. Okay, the next one is the type of the coats. In the coats, we have dividing several coats, which means the clear coat, e-coat. Just now I provided the e-coat, premium coats, and the top coats. And you can see those have their function, which means the clear coat have protects the car for external element, which means the dirt or the sand, just for the snow. It's specific can using in a four-wheel drive, because targetly the four-wheel drive, the truck will undergo to the condition of the dirt. The e-coat will provide a color body with a premium coat for a corrosion, which means the corrosion is the for the dusty. Okay, next one is our prime coat. The prime coat is, they have a lot of function, which means it can provide sound foundation for the top coat, which means this is the fundamentals of the coats for the top coats. Okay, next one is it can protect the rusting and fill the tiny scratch or the flaws in the panel. Okay, next one is the premium coat can apply with a surface with the whole repair areas. And next one is premium coat usually target in the OEM paint areas, which means this is the manufacturing can use it. Normally, if the manufacturing can apply those coats together, which means it can have several coats. The next one is our top coat. The top coat can have provide widest colors. The next one is, this one is original factor paint for the back and on finish, which means after the prime coat, it will back and dry and undergoing to the top coats. So it has a lot of several layers. So after that, the outcome will be more perfect in the manufacturing. This is the automotive spray booth. As you can see in the spray booth now, we doesn't have use any mechanical which means use the workers to spray the frame for the cars, right? Because the mechanical is used a lot of waste a lot of times, consume a lot of times, the cost. So the industry will undergoing a system, which means the automatic system for the robotics paintings. Also, you can see the next diagram is the schematic diagram for the bend proof of their condition, which means they have their velocity of the flow, airflow, which means the paints will undergoing to stick on the vehicle and will reduce for the behind. So the next one is the diagram of the whole spray boothing. So you can see it have the air supply fans motor to provide the uncertain paints into do recycle. So the next one is it have the primary air intake filter and so on. As you can see, as we know, for the automatic robotic pens, you consider it will waste a lot of pens, but the industry have invented a technology which mean just like a magnet, which mean the pen have a magnetic of the negative. So the physical frame have provide a positive, which means it's like a concept of the magnet which can each other to stick together. Okay, now we're going to our assembly shop. Before we proceed to our assembly shop, as we know, the stamping process, the press process, the paint shop, and the engine shop has been done. So we want to compound to become a vehicle. So in this assembly shop, we conduct the flow process, which means the trim line assembly, chassis assembly, final assembly, and we want to conduct a testing area. Okay, in our trim line, it will provide a convenience to the whole process until the final assembly to more convenient to the humans to build to assembly the part. In the production line, we will conduct a AGV, which means the automotive guide vehicle, to install the door panel, which means in the trim line, it will install the hardness way, which the hardness way is the shock absorber, the wiper, the electronic items, which means the pedal. Okay, after we done in the trim line, we'll go into the chassis one. The chassis will combine together with the frame. For the example, the diagram has shown the chassis is the monocoque. Monocoque is the vehicle for the heavy duty lorry. So you want to combine to the frame. So after we doing this one, you going to the final assembly. The final assembly will conduct the tires, the engine, the door panel, the carbon hood, and so on. So next one, after we proceed to our testing area. The testing area is testing about the vehicle. Okay, next one is undergoing to our quality control. In the quality control process, it will determine the quality of the vehicle that produced on the manufacturer. The first step is the engine development. The engine development process is how to determine, do a testing on the engine, which means their engine torques and so on. To test the engine can determine how long they are running and their durability. Okay, the next one is the vehicle test. In the vehicle test, it's like the staff would like to drive in the road condition to test their road cornering and their stability, which means the suspension testing. Okay, the next one is the exhaust emission testing. The exhaust emission testing is using test in the exhaust analyzer, which means they're running in the dyno to test their exhaust emission to have produce how much of the air pollution, which means we want to reduce the carbon monoxide according to the Asian. Okay, the next one is the bread testing. The bread testing is test their bread for the resistance to reduce the emergency. Okay, the last one is the transmission testing. Transmission testing is test their transmission, how to change the gear or somehow to reduce the problem statement for the aftermarket.
Next, let me proceed to the conclusion part. In the automotive industry, the typical structure of a plant for car manufacturing involves 5 main production stages, which is press shop, body shop, engine shop, paint shop, and assembly shop. The picture on the right side shows the step in the automotive industry. The assembly sequence of an automobile starts in the press shop. In this shop, the metal sheets or blanks are moved to the stamping press line, where the various vehicle pieces are produced. The completed component then delivered to the body shop. In the body shop area, the stamped parts are assembled to panels in several assembly lines before the body in white is assembled in the main line. The complete body in white is then transferred to the paint shop. In the paint shop, the body in white surface is first prepped and then lacquered. In engine shop, all the components like crankshaft, piston, and etc. are assembled together. In the assembly shop, the interior and exterior trims and the engine are installed. Next, the recommendation that can be suggested to improve the current practice of vehicle production system is apply Kaizen lean manufacturing techniques. Kaizen implementation is very easy because no difficult terminologies are present. They are logical, simple, and natural to human behavior. And that's all for our presentation. Thank you.